Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first week of data analysis in criminal justice. My name is Dr. Silver. I'm the instructor for this course, and in this lecture I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what you can expect this semester and how the course is structured and other good stuff like that. So, course overview. In this course we will have a couple of goals. The first one, since it's a statistics course, will be to learn statistical principles. So you'll learn about how different statistical ideas work and why they work and what we use them for. We'll also learn how to apply some statistical methods to data. So we'll take what we learn and we'll be applying it to real data that you could see out there in the world. We'll also learn about how to interpret statistics in the real world. And this one I think is the most important because although many of you will probably not go on to do a lot of statistics in your careers, everyone in the world is constantly being bombarded with different statistics about different things. So it's really, really important to be able to interpret them, critically. And along those lines, one of my favorite things to do in this class is to talk about how to spot iffy statistics in everyday life. So when you read the news or go on social media or whatever, it's good to be able to know what you're looking at when you see some kind of statistic. So overall in this class, we'll be learning how to do statistics and we'll be learning how to understand statistics. And for those of you who signed up for a course called Data Analysis in Criminal Justice, not knowing that it was a statistics course, surprise, it's a statistics course. And I say that because every semester there's a couple of people who weren't entirely sure that that was the case. All right, so how is this course going to be structured? Lectures and supplemental readings will be posted on Mondays. Lectures will be in this format. They'll be posted to YouTube. Sometimes it'll be a playlist. There'll be a PowerPoint component. And when we get into the actual statistics that we'll be doing, I'll be doing a lot of examples as well that you can see on a document camera and follow along with. So those will be posted on Mondays. Every week I'll also post supplemental readings. I consider them supplemental because if you can watch the lecture and get everything you need out of the lecture, I don't really care that you do the reading, but the supplemental readings are resources that I found online that I think help to complement what I talk about and reinforce the material a bit. So all of that will be posted on Mondays. Then every week there will be a problem set due on Sunday at the end of the day. So you have the whole week from the time the lecture is posted till the end of the day on Sunday to complete the problem set. And I'll talk a little bit about the problem sets more on the next slide, but for now I'll just keep going through the course structure. So in addition to weekly problem sets, the one other thing you'll be evaluated on in this course is going to be a short written report due at the end of the semester. And in this short report, which I'll also talk about later, you'll be using some of what we learned during the semester and applying it to real data, which I think sounds really scary and time intensive when I say it like that, but I promise by the time we get there, it should be pretty straightforward. So in addition to those things, the lectures being posted, problem sets being due, and then this one other thing we're going to do at the end of the semester, the course is also structured so that there is an optional review and Q&A session. And Wednesdays from 2:30 to 3:30 is a free period in the Rutgers schedule, so I can at least be pretty sure that nobody has a class at that time. So at that time, I will be on Zoom and I'll answer any questions that anybody might have. I can also go through additional examples that are similar to what you saw in the lecture and just talk through any questions or problems you might have about the problem sets. But I will stress again, this is completely optional. If you watch the lectures, read the supplemental materials, and you feel totally comfortable completing the problem set, you really don't have to show up. It's meant to be an extra resource to you, not an extra commitment on your schedule. And along those lines as well, I know some of you guys work, some of you guys have kids, some of you guys have other commitments outside of just your classes at Rutgers. So if you can't make the optional Q&A on Wednesdays, you can always contact me and just set up another time to meet and talk through the materials. And I will say every semester there are always several students who I end up just meeting with at whatever times work for them. So you're not bothering me. We're just working around the fact that this is an asynchronous class and not everybody can be in the same place at the same time. So as I just said, the optional review and Q&A come to me with questions about the lecture or problem set, and then we'll go from there. In addition to that, as another resource, there is a discussion board on Canvas that you can use to ask questions about the problem set. So there, if you can't get a hold of me immediately, you can put a question on the discussion board and other students can answer it. And the nice thing about this is that students who answer questions on the discussion board can get extra credit for answering. So if you post a question, you get your question answered, and if you answer a question, you get extra credit. And I will say in past semesters that I've done this, not too many people use the discussion board, which is fine, but it is there as a resource if anybody wants to use it. And in addition to having other students answer questions, I'll also go through and answer questions on there at least once a day, probably more. And so if your question gets answered, it might be helpful to other people too. So I do encourage that you use it, but I understand that, you know, it may not get that much traction this semester either. So as I just said, you can ask questions about the problem sets and get extra credit for answering. All right, so that was the overall course structure. Now I'll talk about how the course is put together in terms of grading and evaluation. So in this class, there will be a couple of things you'll be evaluated on. The very first thing that I'll also talk about at the end of this lecture is a course survey. And I didn't talk about it in the structure of the class overall because it's a really one and done thing. And the only thing that it will be used for will be for me to gather data to use as fun examples in the class later. But the very first thing that you'll be doing in this class is filling out a quick, roughly 5-minute survey about your attitudes and experiences, and that'll be 10 points towards your final grade. So I really do want you to do it because that will give me data to use for examples in the class later. This survey is going to be due this Sunday, so the end of this week, which is January 24th at 11:59 p.m. And I'm going to talk through the structure of the class some more, and then I'll end this PowerPoint with some more specific instructions about how to do that. But just keep in mind that your very first assignment for this class is going to be this course survey that is due this Sunday. All right, the bulk of the points in this class are going to come from problem sets. And the problem sets, as I just said, will be due weekly, and they will cover the material that is posted each week in the lecture. So these will be multiple choice and short answer questions. The multiple choice questions will usually be conceptual. The short answer questions a lot of the time will involve some sort of calculation, but there's also some variation in that as well. But just expect 20 points worth of multiple choice and short answer questions. They're usually somewhere between 5 and 10 questions long, depending on how complex it is, the stuff that you're doing. So in these, you'll be applying the material that we go over each week in the Monday lectures. If you take a look at the syllabus, you'll see that there are 13 problem sets listed. So this means that you actually have 13 opportunities to complete a problem set, and the lowest score will be dropped. What this means is that you can skip a problem set if you want, or you can do all 13 of them, and you'll get only your best 12 counted. So either way, there is a little bit of flexibility there in the problem sets, since they're due each week. The final component of this class is going to be a short written report. So this will be worth 50 points. And as I said before, with this short written report, you'll be using real-world data to answer a research question of some kind. And this is going to pull on all sorts of different things that we've learned throughout the semester. But it's going to culminate in a report that's about 2 to 5 pages long. So, as I said, sounds scary, but at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty straightforward. The only thing is I'm not going to talk about the details now because we haven't covered the information that you'll need to really understand what will be expected of you later. So just know that this is coming, but there aren't going to be any big surprises. It's just going to be pulling together different topics from throughout the course. So if you look at all this, yeah, details to come later in the semester. There is a total of 300 points possible in the course. Again, the bulk of that is going to be from the problem sets. Then you also have 10 points for the core survey that's due this Sunday, and 50 points for that project that will be at the end of the semester. The grading scale in this class then is based on your total out of 300 points. And I'm telling you this now because as you rack up points for completing the different problem sets, you'll be able to kind of see where your grade is and how many points you are and how far you are from getting an A or a B or whatever grade it is that you're looking for in this class. So just keep in mind that it's going to be out of 300 points and it'll just be based on that point total. So you don't need to do any kind of multiplying or figuring out percentages. Just look at your total points and then, see where you are in the grading scale and see how much further you have to go. Extra credit, everybody's favorite thing. So in addition to those 3 things I just talked about, the course survey, the problem sets, and the little project we're going to do at the end of the semester, you can also get extra credit in this course. And you can get extra credit in 2 ways. The first one is to find a mistake in the lecture. So every week I will be posting lectures, and I do them each week. I write out examples on the document camera, and one thing that I've learned about myself is that I'm really bad at talking and thinking at the same time, and writing at the same time. So inevitably I end up either saying something or writing something that doesn't quite match what it's supposed to be. Sometimes I copy a number down wrong, that kind of thing. And so if you're following along in the lecture and something looks iffy, please let me know. There's a good chance that it is just some sort of mistake that's ended up in there. So if you let me know, you will get 2 points of extra credit, and then everybody else will benefit from having the lecture notes be correct. So your main way to get extra credit is going to be finding mistakes in the lecture notes. So the first person to point it out to me will get 2 points of extra credit. And then, as I said before, the other way to get extra credit is to answer another student's question on that Q&A board if questions get asked. And so 2 points of extra credit will go to the first person to answer a question correctly. So both of these extra credit options will be available throughout the semester. So if you want extra credit in this class, the best way to do it is to pay attention to what I'm doing and saying in the lectures, and also keep an eye on that Q&A board. All right, contacting me. So this is an online class. This means that, and it's asynchronous, which means that unless you choose to come to the Q&A sessions on Wednesdays, we're not going to have any face-to-face time. Because of this, I think it's really important to make sure that you have ways to get in contact with me and that I'd be responsive. So I would say the best and easiest way to contact me is over email. So this is my Rutgers email address here. And before I talk about the video office hours, I'll say with email, I have what I call a 24-hour policy. This means that I will respond to you within 24 hours of getting your email. If you don't hear from me within that 24 hours, you can assume that I didn't get your email or I didn't see your email for some reason. So sometimes if it's sent from a non-Rutgers account, it'll go to my spam folder and I won't see it. Sometimes I'll open it by mistake and, think I've responded. So if you don't hear from me, please email me again after that 24 hours. That said, I usually get back to people much faster than that, especially during the workday when I'm just sitting here on my computer, and I will usually respond within a couple minutes. So the best way to get in contact with me to begin with is just by emailing me. In addition to email, I also will have one-on-one office hours over video. And so these are slotted for Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:30 or by appointment. So the Wednesday hour is right after the Q&A session. So if you want to talk to me one-on-one or whatever the case might be, you can come in that later hour. Or if you just want to schedule a meeting, email me. I'm usually sitting at my computer right here doing things that can be scheduled at any time. So feel free to set up an appointment to talk one-on-one as well, even if you're not available at that Wednesday time slot. Then I also have that weekly review and Q&A session that I mentioned that is from 2:30 to 3:30 on Wednesdays. And this is, again, where you can bring questions about the problem sets, and I'll go over additional examples and anything else you guys might need or want from me in the course. But the weekly review and Q&A session then would be a group thing because anybody who shows up at that time will be in the Zoom meeting. So to contact me, email is your best bet just to get me to respond really quickly. I will also have video office hours for conversations that you want to have one-on-one, and then this weekly review and Q&A session where I'll go over the problem sets and answer questions in more of a group format. And as I said before, also with that weekly review and Q&A session, if you're not available on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 3:30, just let me know, and I'm happy to set up a meeting to also go over problem sets and do examples and everything that I would do in the weekly Q&A session. And I like to finish this by saying, you are my business. And this is actually my grandma's real estate slogan. And she sends me a magnet with her face on it every year that says, you are my business. But I think it also applies here because you guys are my business. And it's my job to be here and help you through the course and make sure that you're getting as much out of it as you can. So please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or issues whatsoever. So with that, I will go into now discussing what's going to be your first assignment of the semester, which is the class survey that's going to be due at the end of the week this week. So Sunday, 1/24. And this class survey is intended to provide data about you so that I can use it in examples throughout the semester. So I think learning statistics is more fun when you're learning a bit about yourself and your classmates. And so in order to do that, I need to get data first. And so it's going to be a survey that takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's completely anonymous and voluntary. This means that I'm not going to be collecting any identifying information about you whatsoever. And you can skip any questions that you want to skip in the survey if you don't feel comfortable answering them. In order to get to the survey, you can follow the link that's on Canvas. So there's the course introduction module, which is going to be this first module where you found this PowerPoint. And there should also be a link to the survey in that assignment that says course survey. As a quick side note here, this is my first semester using Canvas. So if it seems like I don't know what I'm doing, please also let me know, and I will figure it out. But yeah, so you can find the assignment on Canvas, and that will take you to the course survey. To receive credit for taking the course survey, after you have gone through all the pages and answered all the questions that you feel comfortable answering, you'll see a page that shows you a 4-digit numerical code. In order to get credit for taking the survey, I want you to submit that numerical code to that assignment on Canvas. The idea here is that I'll know that you took the survey, but I don't need to have your name attached to the survey in any way. So I'll know that you got to the end if you have gotten one of the numerical codes that is on my list of codes. So again, to summarize this whole thing here, there's a 5-minute survey that's going to give me examples about you guys to use in the class when we do calculations and stuff. It'll take about 5 minutes to complete. No identifying information will be collected, so I won't know who has said what. Nothing is being tracked there, and you can skip any questions you don't want to. And you'll find the survey on Canvas in this course introduction module. Once you've taken the survey, you'll see a 4-digit code that you can submit to get credit for having taken the survey. And as a final quick note here, after you take the survey, you will only see that code once, so if you close out, it's gonna not be there anymore. So make sure you copy it down when you take the survey. All right, so that's all I have for you guys in this introduction lecture. This is one of my favorite classes to teach, so I'm excited to be teaching it again, and I hope that you guys get something out of it too. And in the meantime, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. And otherwise, I'll be doing this again next week. And again, the survey is due at the end of the week on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. All right, bye guys.